Welcome to Behind the Mask, Episode 1, where real plastic surgery experts break down real-life cases from the most bizarre to the hottest trends. We're going to take you behind the mask to get unfiltered analysis from our true experts. I'm your co-host, Dr. Bill Adams, with my co-host, the world-renowned plastic surgeon, Dr. Jason Posner from Boca Raton, Florida. Jason?
Hi, sitting on the beach in Boca Raton with my cocktail.
Looks incredible, surf's up. And then last but not least, our special guest expert in plastic surgery, Dallas consultant, Ellery Milliger. Ellery, how are you today?
I'm good.
Excellent. Let's get right into it. Our first case is double stacked breast augmentation. Okay, y'all, I'm not seeing anything like this before. I've heard of it, but let's dig into this topic. This is on BOTCHED. We've got a patient with double stacked implants, and let's take a look.
He said we could stack silicone implants.
Stack?
Yeah,
Two
stack.
implants?
Yeah.
Each side? Stack implants? You have two implants in
Yes,
each breast.
I do.
One above and one below.
I just feel like it's my dark little secret. It makes me feel embarrassed, and I'm very desperate to leave this very poor choice behind me.
We can take them all out, put a new pair in, and do some kind of lifting procedure, which means scars. There is one other option. I can staple up just this, and if it looks way superior, I will not give you vertical incision. Does that sound like a battle plan?
That sounds amazing. Now, since my surgery with Dr. Dubrow, I look a million times better, and I can definitely tell that they're actually where they're supposed to sit.
Okay, that's crazy, huh?
Yeah, first of all, double stacked breast augmentation sounds like my order at In-N-Out. Second of all, I didn't know you could staple up for a breast lift.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, can you translate that? Because I'm a plastic surgeon. I'm not sure I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Let's separate this. First of all, I've heard of stacked implants. I've actually never seen one. People have asked about it over the years. I can understand how you can get them to sit and not kind of move around and slip one behind the other unless one's over the muscle, one's under the muscle. I've definitely heard about them. I think what he was talking about with the lift was, hey, do my work on the inside and then just staple the skin, tailor tack it at the end of the case to see if you need a lift or not. I mean, that's something that we occasionally talk to the patients. Like, I'll say, okay, I'll probably get away with the vertical, but if I have to put a horizontal in, I'll staple you and see if I like it. But maybe he's just trying to dumb it down. But other than that, I have no clue what he's talking about.
What's the logic of a stacked implant over just a larger breast implant size?
Yeah, well, I've had a patient with it before, and I'm familiar with it. I was just saying that at the beginning for the effect for the audience. But actually, early on, people used to do this, and it was not that frequent, very uncommon, but they didn't used to have, like they have now, tons of different types of implants. Now we have tons of different height and width implants and profile implants. They didn't have that in the 60s and 70s and 80s, so to speak. And so what they did, in order to get more volume, it's as implants get bigger, they get really wide. And so you get to the point where the implant's way too wide for the patient's width of their chest. And so so if you wanted a more volume result, then you could take two implants and put them on top of each other. And that's kind of the rationale. But it's just not a good rationale because in general, it was like always too much volume.
Yeah, it's just they look terrible. I mean, I've seen where they take an overfill a saline implant by quite a bit. I mean, one of the guys was working on a way to see if he could break the implant, and he needed 30 liters to break the implant. Keep putting fluid in a saline implant. That's a lot. That's quite a bit of fluid, 30,000 cc's.
Okay, but I also don't like how Dr. Dubrow scared his patient away because of scars. I think that's, scars come with plastic surgery and there's things to do for the scars, so I don't think that we should base the procedure just around the scar outcome.
The number one question I see, at least on my breast feed, is always, can I get away without a lift? Can I just get implants and not a lift? And usually the people asking about them, their boobs are down to their knees. They needed a lift like 20 years ago. But those are the ones that are really asking for this. So I think a lot of people are just afraid of the scars because they've seen so many bad scars out there. Half my consultation is talking about what to do about the scars. We laser the scars, we tape the scars, we do a lot of these new bridgets on the scars. So I mean, I'm sure you get the
Maybe-
same questions in Dallas.
Maybe we should ask the commander-in-chief of breast surgery what you think about scarring with a lift, if it's worth it.
Well, I think you have to really personalize it for the patient. I think in this patient, and what they ended up doing for this patient was taking out some skin in the bottom of the breast and the crease of the breast, but they didn't change really the implants. She's still too big. You look at her, she doesn't have a pretty beautiful breast. She has just a big, huge breast, but it does look better because they've taken out some of that skin stretch. She has what we call soft tissue stretch, or she stretched from her nipple to her infirmary folds. They took out some of that skin, but it's just an incision in the crease of the breast. Now, let's say she came in. I mean, she probably has a grand total with the stacked implants of probably 800 plus cc's in her breast, which is huge. So if she went down to a more reasonable size implant, she would almost have to do a regular kind of type mastopexy scar in order to reduce the skin envelope to have a pretty shaped breast. So it just depends on the patient. It sounds like for this particular patient, she seemed happy. It was a big change from where she was, so it was probably a good solution. But sometimes it's not, and I would predict for this patient, over the course of the next year or two, she's going to stretch again because the breast and the tissues just can't support that weight.
That's why a lot of conversations, Bill and I are big fans of using mesh to help, as an internal bra to support the implant. So a lot of these cases where their tissue support is terrible, I love the Galliform for this. I mean, I think that tissue is miraculous.
It's like big implants cause big problems. That's what we always say to the residents, and it holds true. All right, well, let's move on to our next topic. This is interesting. Only seen, Ellery, in Siberia in permafrost. It's like a 30,000-year-old bacteria, but it's been shown to reverse the clock. So in mice that were beyond reproductive age, they've shifted those mice back to being able to have children again, or little mice. So interesting. It could be the actual fountain of youth if it was applied to humans. What do you think?
So first of all, how old is the bacteria?
The bacteria is 3.5 billion years old.
Okay.
And it's been well preserved in permafrost, so it's been kind of cold storage for a while in Siberia.
Okay. I don't know much about the Siberian climate, but I would assume that 3.5 billion years old bacteria would have to be like below freezing. So statistically, or timeline-wise, I'm trying to think if this was like in the Ice Ages 3.5 billion years ago?
Before. Right?
Before.
Billions, yeah, that's all stuff in the millions of years ago.
I just want to know if
Jurassic.
it's the aging of the bacteria, like how, like a good liquor gets better over time, if it's effective because it's aged so much, or if they would have discovered this back in the Ice Ages, if we would still have those cavemen walking around.
But what they do with the
still be
bacteria?
alive
Did
today.
they inject it into the mice? Did they put it in their gut? Did they
That's
eat
a
it?
good question. How do they insert it?
Well, I mean, I think this is all preliminary discussion. I don't think the details may not be fully available, but I do think it's interesting because the $3.5 billion question of how you get the fountain of youth. So this may not be the end answer, but it may lead us to more things about, we talk about rejuvenation. Everybody wants to look younger and look better. So if you could reverse the clock.
More likely the story is from like all these espionage and these kind of crazy books that I read, like, they'll unleash some virus that's in the permafrost and kill everybody, or they'll find some bacteria on an asteroid that infects everybody, and the next thing you know, we're the only thing left is cockroaches.
Do we think that this bacteria would put Botox out of business if
I don't know.
the one everlasting?
Yeah, it could. If it does, at least it does what it says in mice and humans. Number one, we could have an overpopulation issue, and number two, it probably would replace Botox. But Jason, I got a question for you. Do you think, so what about, is there going to be some laser that does the same thing as these bacteria?
Well, it's interesting. Like, one of the things it's a good segue into the next section, but I was involved with Patrick Bitter, a dermatologist from California, that we wrote a paper a number of years ago on the anti-aging effects of Cyton's BBL. It actually, when you used it on human skin and looked at their RNA, looked at the DNA and the RNA, it actually turned on some genes So it did have an anti-aging effect, and there's a lot of data on this. This is the Forever Young protocol from Cyton, but when you looked at the genes, it actually turned the genes on. So it made the genes younger. So when you looked at old skin versus new skin, and then you after the IPL, the new skin the old skin that was turned on by the IPL started to look like the new skin, look like the younger patients rather.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I knew that the Forever Young platform is really interesting. That study you mentioned was legit, and as you said, made old skin cells function like they were young skin cells.
Right, and there's some good data from Stanford, from in the lab about that as well. And then we followed up with some clinical stuff. So we've shown clinically that if you come and do Cyton's BBL like twice a year, it actually kind of helps in preventing aging. Makes you look younger, but at the gene level, it does make you actually younger at the gene level, which is kind of cool.
Like
Yeah,
a regenerative gene
Yeah, it has a
level?
regenerative effect to the DNA transcription.
Very, very cool. Well, Jason, that is a good segue into the last topic, which is Hero, and tell us about that
So
technology.
this is Hero. I have my Cyton Hero here. I got a little squeeze ball Hero from Cyton. I actually have a cape and a hat as well. So, Cyton Hero is something we've been working on for a number of years. So just like we talked about this BBL from years ago where we looked at the Forever Young protocol, Cyton, what they did was they improved the power settings, the cooling system, and the way it functioned. And instead of stamping, stamp, we use it in motion. So with this, we're able to treat off face a lot safer than we had been before. This is a décolleté of one of my staff members. And this is sun damage plus a little bit of underlying redness. So I used one of the filters that would get rid of some of the sun damage and the redness. And here she is after one treatment that took about 3 minutes on her chest. And here's another one with a lot of sun damage. And I did it the same way, went back and forth for about 3 minutes on her chest. And I got rid of the sun damage and all these spots in one treatment. Now, the problem is before this technology, you had to do it stamping and you left a lot of streaking, and it was kind of hard to do efficiently. And here's a little video of just showing you like how you do this on a chest. Nice and smooth, and this is sort of a sped delayed, and then it's going to be a sped up little video, but it's super easy to use. It's very delegatable. I can teach anybody in your office how to do this in probably like 5 minutes. But if you look at her chest, the sun damage in the chest is being picked up by the laser, and you can tell by the redness that it was a very efficacious treatment, that the sun damage got picked up very, very efficiently. And in this 1 minute and 29 seconds, I treated her whole chest. And that's the areas that we've been able to treat on those patients. So especially in areas like Texas and Florida and California, where they got a lot of sun damage, Bill, you build a lot of beautiful breasts, but unless they clean up that décolleté, they're still going to look bad.
That's true.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get ready for bathing.
How does one come up with a laser? Like, what do you study? Like light waves, or how do you go about creating a new laser?
So the company that we use is Cyton, and it's a little unusual company because it's owned by two physicists. So it's their job. Like, they do a really good job of coming up with ideas on how to build lasers, and then it's our job to figure out how to use them effectively. A lot of times, like, we never would have thought to use this on a different area. This was mainly for the face. But then as they came out with these, they realized, what are our problems? Like, well, off the face, it streaks a lot. So how do you avoid streaking? And then the power settings are off. And they're in the lab, and they get to play with all this stuff. Like, we're working on a lot of new technology now on how to make this stuff better and how to get rid of sun damage and spots and redness. And I can tell you that having been involved in the device world for probably 25 years, it's gotten better and better and better. We keep building on themes. Like, things you come out like, oh, that's terrible. And then 5 years later, wow, they're tightening really well, or they get rid of this. The patients also are getting these kind of treatments with less number of treatments and way less downtime than we used to do. When Bill and I first were in practice, the only way to fix someone's face with a laser was to burn their face off. And the treatment would leave them healing for weeks at a time. Now we're getting some of those similar results with no downtime.
Yeah.
So
we want fast results. We want to look good leaving the
like one of the things that Bill has in his clinic is the Halo laser. So like Halo gives you these beautiful results, and the downtime is like 24 to 48 hours. So it's like really new, incredible technology. That's why it's our job to kind of keep the public and our peers informed on all these new things. That's like we're filming a Hot Topics for doctors in a couple of days, where we're teaching the doctors about what's hot and what's new from PFC Studios.
It's impressive stuff, Jason. So this technology, Hero, it's available now?
It's available now and will be available in Aya Clinic in Dallas in probably 2 weeks.
All right, that's great stuff. Thanks for joining us this week on Behind the Mask. And you can find us on our YouTube channel or theplasticsurgerychannel.com. And if you have questions, submit those and we'll get to them maybe next week. Make sure to subscribe below and don't forget to like the episode. For Dr. Jason Posner and Ellery Milliger, I'm Dr. Bill Adams. Until next time.